Hi and welcome to my playhouse. And today we are not at my playhouse. I am a guest here at Arrow ECS. And Arrow ECS, well, they are a distributor here in Denmark, and they're kind of worldwide-ish. So they have let me visit and borrow some of their new Lenovo equipment because they have it and I don't. I have been on my crying knees and begging, I must admit it. So today we're going to be looking at the Lenovo SR650 version 2. I have the version 1 myself, but the version 2 has some new features and we're gonna see it. And we have the box and we can take it apart and we can look and point. And there's a lot of differences between the version 1 and the version 2, and we're gonna look at that. At a big distributor like this, it's possible to get servers home. Right now it's very difficult to get any servers delivered at any reasonable amount of time. But if you're a big company and you order a lot of servers, well, they will take orders from you and they will put the servers in their warehouse and you'll get your servers when you need them. So this is a server that has been bought for a customer and is awaiting for this customer for them to need it. I promised to open it up from the bottom because that way it could look newish, not too used when they at some point want it. And I have a Lenovo X3650 Model 5 at home, and that was actually a server that I got because the customer had some servers in the warehouse. And there was new versions and they now wanted the new version, so I got to purchase the older version for a reasonable price. It should look like a server. I would be very surprised if it's not much like what we have seen before. Foam. So let's get it out. There are some rails and some power cables and some stuff that is not really that interesting. So we're just gonna leave that. Oh yeah, we need to open this, otherwise it's not gonna be any fun at all. So sorry about that. If we start in the front here, we have a new connection here. That is for, they have a remote, a wired remote that you can connect to the server, and you can get like a display output and see what the server is doing. It also has a USB connection over here where you can connect it. I believe it's a laptop that you can connect there, and you can go into the XCC and see what it's doing. Release buttons for the rack. It has, let's see, 4 hard drives, which is, well, the backplane is there, so there's 4 fillers, single, and there's a filler that takes up 4 spaces, and there is no backplane in there. So, but it seems the server is meant for 16 drives from 0 to 15, and the last one, well, I don't know why the numbers has stopped there, but yeah. It says here it's the SR650 version 2. Awesome. And we have a USB 3 connection. Then we have a USB 2 connection, which is also that management connection. We have power on, ID, and then we have a network activity and an exclamation mark if there's something wrong with the server, that will light up. That's kind of the front. It will hold up to 24 hard drives in the front here. And these can be anything from spinning disks and all the way up to U.2 NVMe drives up here. So that's the front. Let's turn it around. It's so easy on a rolling table like this. Here we have the back. This server is expandable with a lot of expansion ports in the back. It has no less than 8 PCI Express ports inside the server. This one does not. I think there's riser card number 1 in here. Riser 2 and riser 3 does not seem to be occupied. Then it has the built-in OCP down here, which is kind of the different network options that you can get with this server. And Lenovo, like any other brand, has a variety of cards that you can stick in here, and the OCP can be put in hot swap from the back of the server, so you don't have to turn the server off to replace that card, which is rather brilliant. Then it has the blue LED somewhere in here. It says ID here, and then it has the management connection, which is the XCC. It has a couple of USB connections, VGA connection, USB connection. It has a reset button somewhere, NMI. You poke something into one of those holes, I'm not sure which one. Then it has room for the normal 2 power supplies. This one only has 1 occupied, and they are as they usually are. This is a 750 watts. Different sizes are available: 750, 1100, 1600, I forget. But yeah, that's the outside. Here's something new. The schematic of everything is on the outside. My OCD does not handle stuff like that. Change, disaster. Yeah, they have some explaining of different stuff. Here's how to mount the server in the rack, backplane install, and what the different LED means, and some stuff. The server was made in 2021. Up here is useful information. It says that I should use an anti-static wristband. One of these. I don't have anything to connect it to, so that's gonna be an issue. So we're gonna rely on me being negative. But it has a memory configuration, and these new Intel Xeon scalable version 3 processors, they have 8 memory lanes. So inside we'll find that this server has 32 slots for memory. It also means that if you want to run balanced memory and you really want to do that, you need to put 8 slots in each CPU at a time. So 8 or 16 slots occupied, and well, this tells you how to put that in the most efficient and best way possible. Then there is help to how to connect different configuration of NVMe to manage those. There's an explanation of how to do that. Then there's the M.2 boot device. Then it has an overview of the different configuration options of the back of the server with the different PCI Express riser cards. If you have this occupied and this occupied, you can also have disk trays, or you can. This configuration up here has a lot of disks and risers and disks, and how to do it all and what options there are to do this. And up here is the system board with different pinouts of what everything is on the system board. So let's open Sesame. Oh, they have locked it. Oh, the security is so high here. Screwdriver. Let's see if we can manage. We hacked it. So let's take the cover off. I'm very excited to see if there's anything. There's not. Anything on the back side. There was not. So if we start up here, we can see that this is very clean. There's more or less nothing here. Everything is tucked away in some cables at the side, and all of this is clean. But you expand this server with 8 drives at a time, so it's like 8 drives, 16 or 24 drives, and each time you get a backplane like this. And this is actually for NVMe drives, U.2 drives to put in front of the server, and that is connected through a cable here. Is it connected? It is. It is connected to the back. And in the back here we have a very special RAID controller. This is a new RAID controller that can do RAID on NVMe drives, and that is pretty new. Until now, if you wanted to do RAID on NVMe, you would have to do it in software. Now it can do it in hardware. So we have some plastic here that is hiding everything. So let's try and remove that a little bit. There is a. It's probably not a battery, it's probably super capacitors, but nevertheless they're in the way. I think we can unplug that. Can we? Maybe we can. There we are. Plastic goes over here. And now we can see all these memory blocks. So there is 8 blocks here and 8 blocks here just for CPU number 1. And then there's 8 blocks and 8 blocks, and that's where this plastic is hiding and making sure that the airflow doesn't just go too unhindered that way. The maximum amount of RAM that you can put in this server is 8 terabytes. That means that to do that, you have to put in 256 gigabyte blocks. They will cost you your firstborn, each of them. So you can divide that by 2, that's 4 terabytes, and that would be 128 gigabyte blocks. Then you can get a couple of blocks per firstborn. And after that you can go down to 64 gigabyte blocks, and then we're down in the price range of cats and dogs. So, but if you fill this up with 64 gigabyte blocks, you have 2 terabytes of RAM in your server, which is a decent amount of RAM. It holds 2 of these Intel Scalable version 3 CPUs, and these new CPUs, they can hold up to 40 cores, and they can each use up to 270 watts. That is of course the very top line of the CPUs that uses that wattage, but they do use a lot of power, those CPUs, and that is not different from AMD. AMD uses a lot of power as well. And each CPU has these 64 PCI Express 4.0 lanes that you can use for your NVMe drives, and there is a lot of connections here for NVMe. Compared to the version 1 of this server, the version 2 uses the faster 3200 MHz DIMMs, where the version 1 was at 2933 MHz. The version 2 here also uses Intel Optane RAM, if you have any of that. In a one socket server like this, you can actually put in 4 terabytes of Intel Optane RAM. If you have 2 sockets, you can get up to a maximum of 6 terabytes of Optane. Well, persistent memory. The SR650 V2 uses the Intel Optane 200 RAM, and the version 1 uses the 100 Optane RAM. Each of those Optane RAM blocks, they will cost you 15 watts of power. So beefy CPUs, Optane memory, lots of NVMe, maybe some graphics cards. You can put in a lot of graphics cards in this as well, or GPUs. It can take up to 8 NVIDIA T4 GPUs, or up to 3 double wide GPUs, like the wider ones. So you can have one here, one there, and one over here. So that is a lot. 3 beefy GPUs in here, or 8 small ones. You could put a smaller one in each of the slots. So that's a lot of GPUs. Lenovo claims that you can put up to 40 disks in this one server. Then everything is disks, but well, there are the 24 disks on the front, and then they have, I believe they have something to put the disks inside and something to put them on the back, and well, you will have disks everywhere. The version 1 could have like the 24 disks on the front, and you could stuff 2 in the back. So the previous version was PCI Express version 3. This one is PCI Express version 4, which gives you higher throughput on everything going out. I'm finding it difficult to get to all the new stuff, but right now I'm curious to what is under the fans. So okay, we have some more NVMe plugs here to go front. There's 2 here, 2 there, but the cable is actually connected in the back to that rate controller, and there's the connections for the fans and power distribution. So as it only has one CPU, they have left out a fan. So it has a single block of memory. Let's just have that out and check it out, see what that is. So it's a 32 gigabyte 3200 Performance Plus, I'm guessing, RAM. Lenovo is pretty good at giving you the higher tier RAM to start with. I think it's a nice trick, because if you want an extra one, well, you would probably go get the same one. If they had put a lower one in there, well, you might get that instead, and this way they give you a better experience, and if you want to upgrade it, there's a bigger chance that you go out and purchase something more expensive. It's a nice trick. Might just have a look at this rate controller here. I have never seen a rate controller for NVMe drives, so and now we have the chance. And this is the rate 948i 4G. So from Broadcom. Probably what used to be an LSI controller, now it's a Broadcom controller. So, yeah, I am expecting this to be one of the more expensive ones. So, but here is the riser card. They have changed that a lot. Look at it. The previous versions looked like normal PCI Express ports down there. And these are completely different. And they have now the power connection sitting on the riser card. So if you're gonna put in a GPU, well, there's not far from power to GPU. That's nice. Underneath, I see a USB pin connection here. So you can still boot something from a USB pin. Nowadays, VMware doesn't like to boot from a USB pin anymore. They have kind of ruined that for us. That was otherwise a good thing that they had going, but well, it's not that great anymore. But we also see that OCP connection, and there is a PCI Express slot of a weird size down here where you pop in that network card and it connects here, and yeah, hot swap, and you don't have to take the server apart to change the network card, which is brilliant. They should do that with the PCI Express ports as well, so you could just have a card and pop it in. Kind of a little bit like PCMCI back in the day. We have a lot of these connections down here, and I need the LED to see what the different ones are. So this one is a 7mm power connection. And that one is a 7mm backplane signal connector. That one, M.2 rare backplane signal connection. These are all PCI connectors. Yeah, there's a lot of connections. That one is for a serial connection. That one is for the TPM module connection. So the top of the server is really helpful for figuring out which all these different connections are. There are also the connections in the front underneath the fans. They are also on here. So it could be number 28. And that is also a PCI connection. Together with the power connections on the riser card here, there's also a power connection here and two over here for powering riser number 2. Of course, the stuff that is in riser number 2 and 3. So that's for 2 and that is for 3. So the number 3 is not as big as the one for number 2. There's only room for 2 slots over here on top of the power supplies. 3 and 3 here. Different options are available for the riser cards. So it's kind of, you replace this. It says here that there's the first slot up here is it's a real X16 slot, whereas slot number 2, it has an X16 slot, but it's really only an X8. And the same thing with the bottom one, it's a X16 slot, but it's only rated for X8. But they do deliver 75 watts for each of them. That's more than normal. The normal would be 25 watts for a not X16 slot. So yeah, let's put the RAID controller back in here. NVMe RAID controller. Yeah. And it has a little blue Trinity thing. Gotcha. So this SR650 version 2 is a really good multi-purpose server. It also has a switch up here so that it will know if someone has been in here. But it can transform for the needs that it's needed for. Like, you can fill it up with GPUs, you can fill it up with hard drives, you can put a crazy amount of compute power in the CPUs here, those big beefy ones. You can fill it up with huge amount of RAM. It's not able to do everything at once, so you have to pick where you want to be. It can do a little bit of each, or it can do mostly GPUs and just have a couple of small CPUs. And well, yeah, it's a great multi-purpose server that you can build out for your need. Oops, I see that I got that wrong. Those 3 connections here, those are all SATA connectors. Okay, my bad. So I naturally want one of these for my collection at home, but I'm gonna wait a little bit. So let's put this back in there, and remember to connect this again. There, and we'll put the cover back on. I forgot to point out this thing here, metal thing that is in the front. I'm not sure what that is, but over here we have the pull-out thing where there is different information and you can put different information. They would like you not to put stickers in the front, especially on the air intake. That's a bad idea. If you are in the market for a Lenovo server, I really very much can recommend lenovopress.com. Every model that they have a very nicely same way described what every server can and can do, what options you can get for it, what CPU it does. I found this one on the page from the V2 SR650 V2, and it tells me all the differences between the V1 and the V2. So all of this is the differences, and then they have explained the benefits out here. So it's really easy to see that, well, GPU in the version you could put in 5 NVIDIA T4 GPUs, and now you can put in 8 and 2 double size. Here is 3 double size, and so on and so forth. There's the processors, the memory, the disks, the RAID controller, the networking, so on and so forth. Lenovo Press. So I'm very happy to be invited out here and unbox one of the new Lenovo SR650 version 2 servers, so that I could show it to you guys and also myself become a little bit smarter on it. I might be purchasing some of these, not for me but for work, but yeah, let's see how that goes. So thank you very much for watching my videos. Do subscribe to my channel so you can see me again, and have a really nice day. Bye bye.